America. Bonjour. Hi, Canada. It's Hugh Hewitt inside the Beltway on a Thursday, the 13th day of August in the year of the plague, 2020, and it's a jump ball in the presidential race. New Harris poll out yesterday, published by The Hill. Less than 90 days before the November election, President Trump is trailing former Vice President Joe Biden by 4 percentage points. 4 percentage points. The poll was conducted August 8th through 11th among 2,828 registered voters, not likely voter, registered voters, which always overweights Democrats. Therefore, it is a jump ball. Now, yesterday, Vice President Biden and Senator Harris made their debut. I don't think anyone watched it. I honestly don't know anybody who watched it other than professionals who are obliged to watch it because it just doesn't feel like a campaign in this strangest of strange years. But we did have some amazing follow-up to yesterday's radio show involving Senator Ron Johnson, which I want to talk about here in a moment. Before I do that, though, I want to continue to thank those who are contributing. Some of you have contributed twice. Thank you. I follow this very closely to Food for the Poor. Food for the Poor is struggling to help all of Latin America with the pandemic's devastation of the food supply. There's famine in many places. Wall Street Journal this morning has an extraordinarily long story, coronavirus long deadly plateau in the developing world, that begins the intensive care units at the Salvador Zubirán Hospital in Mexico City have been operating at full capacity for 3 straight months. Their beds filled with unconscious COVID-19 patients face down and connected to ventilators. Every person who dies or recovers is replaced within hours by another who is critically ill in need of life support. That's one hospital in one country, but all throughout Central and South America, entire economies have shuttered to a halt. We don't see this in the United States, where we've already had record-breaking recovery in the stock market. There's some sectors like restaurant and travel, which remain very, very bad off, but others like Amazon that are booming. And all I can tell you is Food for the Poor has stepped up like I've never seen them do it before. And it's basically rice and beans and vitamins and essential food. Everything else is going by the wayside. Get food to the feeding centers that are, I mentioned before, our vice presidents, Tom Tradup and Phil Boyce, have been down to these places in Guatemala and Haiti, other places, dozens of times to check on it. It works. When you give $100 for Food for the Poor, you're feeding kids who this year aren't going to just go hungry, which is bad enough, and suffer malnutrition. They're going to starve to death. You can stop that. $37 will provide a starving child in Guatemala with 2 meals a day for 6 months. All you have to do is go to hughhewitt.com and click on the banner at the very top, Emergency Food Relief, or phone your generous donation in any amount. It's a toll-free number, 855-359-4673. Start your day off the right way, 855-359-4673. That's 855-359-HOPE. I really appreciate it. My prayers are being answered. I know a lot of you are Christians who are giving and other people of faith, but I know a lot of you who don't believe are also giving because you're humanitarians like Albert Schweitzer. Thank you. Thank you, because these kids are not going to make it without your help. So Ron Johnson is one of my favorite senators, came on yesterday. But, this is a show that asks tough questions, and he is on a committee charged with getting to the bottom of what did the intelligence community do to Donald Trump during the transition in the early days of his administration. 4 people went to a meeting with Donald Trump before he became president. James Comey, head of the FBI, James Clapper, the National Director of Intelligence, John Brennan, the head of the CIA, and Admiral Mike Rogers, the head of the NSA. And in that meeting, he was given bad information. He was given the Russian dossier, and all of the events that followed thereafter, all of it connected to that meeting. Who planned it? Who executed? Why aren't those 4 under oath answering questions? Ron Johnson came on yesterday, and it's never happened in my 30 years in radio and television. Just flat out dissembled. Just flat out did not tell me the truth. He said he was being blocked by the members of his committee from issuing subpoenas. I wanted the names of the members of the committee. He said, I can't give you that. I'm not going to name names on the radio. Disparage radio a little bit, but I'll put that aside. He just wouldn't tell me. Well, it turns out they had voted him authority to issue subpoenas in June. Turns out he didn't tell me that. Turns out he had to go on Fox News last night and admits that there was a misunderstanding. Cut number 25, please.
To ask you, you did an interview with Hugh Hewitt today on the radio. He went after you big time. He said that he is basically disgusted that there have not been subpoenas from your committee to hear directly, and so that the American people can watch questioning of Comey, questioning of McCabe, questioning of John Brennan. And he feels that that opportunity was lost and that, you could end up losing the Senate and never get that opportunity back. And he pointed the finger very much at you.
No, listen, nobody can out-frustrate me. What I was trying to point out is we have a committee process, and I respect that. And people have legitimate concerns. And my committee members, when they gave me the authority, and I have the authority to subpoena James Comey, but they wanted me to do everything I could to obtain the testimony documents on file.
Stop. I have the authority to subpoena James Comey. He denied that yesterday. And when I asked him repeatedly who was blocking, he said he wasn't going to name names. That is impossible to square with I have the authority. No, I like Ron. And when no one else would talk to him during the last time he ran for Senate when they wrote him off as dead, I had him on. He lived here. He had a pup tent in the studio. As we campaigned for him on the air to raise money and get people out to vote in Wisconsin, and I'll do it again. But I hope he will come back and explain why he just wouldn't say it was me. We can't have that. 1-800-520-1234. What did you think of the Ron Johnson interview and the admission that he made last night? Now, we have a new ad from the Trump campaign on Kamala Harris, cut number 1.
Kamala Harris ran for president by rushing to the radical left, embracing Bernie's plan for socialized medicine, calling for trillions in new taxes, attacking Joe Biden for racist policies. Voters rejected Harris. They smartly spotted a phony. But not Joe Biden. He's not that smart. Biden calls himself a transition candidate. He is handing over the reins to Kamala while they jointly embrace the radical left. Slow Joe and phony Kamala. Perfect together. Wrong for America.
Slow Joe is a name I've been using for Joe Biden for 25 years. Liz Cheney, rising star of the House of Representatives, said this about Kamala Harris, cut number 5.
I mean, she is the epitome of a San Francisco liberal. She's even farther to the left than Barack Obama was. She seems to be farther to the left than Nancy Pelosi is. And when you look at what she stands for and what she believes in terms of raising taxes, in terms of infringing on the Second Amendment, in terms of support for abortion up until the 9th month and beyond, she's going to have a very, very difficult time in those swing states with those independent voters. I would also say, we're facing as a nation right now a huge economic challenge. And when voters begin to say to themselves, all right, who's going to bring us out of this? A ticket with Joe Biden, who has essentially been campaigning from his basement, and Kamala Harris, who is one of the most liberal members of the United States Senate, is not going to bring us out of that. If you want any sort of an economic regrowth, economic recovery, it's very clear that the socialist far left party policies that Kamala has stood for are going to make matters worse.
Meanwhile, Kellyanne Conway took to the air as well to define Senator Harris, cut number 6, by what she did and did not do in the race.
This is a woman who's for abortion in the 9th month. She's against the Second Amendment. She's against parts of the First Amendment, frankly. She will raise your taxes. She will put our regulations back. She's been terrible in criminal justice. And may I just say, Sandra, as a last point, the Democrats rejected her. She pulled out of the race before a single vote was cast because it was Democratic voters in the primaries and caucuses who had rejected her, giving rise to Biden, Warren, Sanders, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, and Mike Bloomberg.
Yeah, look, they're going to come after, I say, tough, smart left. That's Kamala Harris, tough, smart left. Joe Biden is not competent to be president. So Kamala Harris is going to be running the show along with Nancy Pelosi. That's the choice before America. And Kamala Harris is left, left, left. So tough, yes. Smart, yes. Left, left, left. And Joe Biden is simply not up to the job. I think we all know that. I think we all admit that. I admit as well that Brad Thor's Near Dark is still at the top of the bestseller list. If you're going away to the beach this weekend, try and get Brad Thor delivered overnight from Amazon, because the Near Dark thriller will satisfy your every need and want during your vacation week ahead. Don't go anywhere, America. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show.